Everyone, we're reeling it back in. Can you get the conversation in, please? Okay. Now, in the interest of getting the least confusion possible, that specific set of simple amendments is now ended. Now I'm putting forward, Will has already accepted for new civil amendments to come forward. And so I will put, would anyone like to go into a new round of civil amendments? Anyone against this? Okay. Everyone who has the civil amendment, please raise your hand.
Do I? Yes.
Okay.
Right,
Okay.
so
Is anyone else?
Claire and Josh. All right, Claire.
Okay. Wait. Sorry. Last call, and then I'm closing the stack for civil amendments. Okay. Now it's officially closed.
My concern here is not so much, although I'm deeply saddened by us kicking someone out. I think it's really awful, and especially because, whatever, I'm saddened by that. But my major concern is that it seems that the proposal itself does not have anything in it for the future, and it seems to be a large portion of people's concern is that there's no way to deal with this at all. So I'm wondering, can we make it part of the proposal to have by Thursday, these 9 to 15, the 6 elusive ones, come up with a proposal on how to deal with future people and what to do with Chris at future times? Because without that, I'm very uncomfortable putting this there.
Can you put that into concise language?
Yes. As an amendment to this proposal, by Thursday, I'd like to see this group, and whoever else, if they want to join, this group come with a very concise, detailed proposal on how to deal with future incidences with problematic people and how to deal with Chris Dorsey if we so choose to keep him out.
Will?
Can I?
Do we... Okay, I'm going to concur on that. I don't actually know the process on accepting clarifications. Do we accept clarifications?
Within civil amendments?
Yeah.
I don't think so.
She is one of the co-sponsors of
Okay.
Claire, does that mean that the proposal can't be voted on if we don't have this amendment?
It doesn't mean...
Or, I'm sorry, if the proposal is voted on, and let's just say it is approved, does that mean it's not enforceable unless this happens? Or that the GA doesn't really approve it unless this happens?
Yeah, it's not enforceable unless it happens anyways,
Okay.
because there's no enforcement in your proposal
Okay.
at all. So I think it's up to the people that feel this strongly about it to come forward instead of, because it keeps being put on the rest of Orba to figure out what to do to save the people that we're being dealt with as an ultimatum. And I don't really think it's fair for us to put in the work to put in a new proposal. So that's where my proposal is. I'd like to see something from you guys by Thursday, how to deal with these issues that you've heard.
But does that still mean the proposal gets voted on tonight?
Yes.
Okay.
Will?
I'll accept it with one minor change to what you said. It's open to anybody who wants to have that discussion, not just those who are blocked.
Yes.
And I invite every single one of you to please come and be part of that discussion. That said, I accept the amendment.
Thank you. Josh?
I think that pretty much covers it. I was just going to add on, as per requests from some of the original proposers to my civil amendment, that we just shout him down. The GA uses mic check to tell him to leave if he does show up. And that'll take care of it, at least until we get the other enforcement procedures. I mean, it's a Band-Aid. Until we get the potato gun made. I mean, it's certainly a Band-Aid, but likewise, it also sets a really powerful precedent that we'll have something in our language that we can then use in the future should we need to tell someone to leave. Like, we'll have that, like, oh, hey, this is a procedure that we're all okay with. we might check someone out the building, right? Like, which, but, you know, they're the ones who've been burning us.
Nice.
Yeah, but not the sentiment I was going.
I think we've already decided we're in favor of that amendment. We will accept that amendment.
So, sorry.
That was all of the civil amendments. That's accepted.
That's accepted. All right, let's move on.
Okay, Josh, what is it?
To be clear then, what the amendment that was accepted was the full first part of the amendment that was posited earlier, plus that little tidbit, and then the whole thing got accepted in context, right? So that language.
It will be, it's
Okay.
what I've already said, with the exception that we have a discussion and come up with a plan by Thursday for Claire's amendment, and that in the meantime, in the event that he does show up or we have an issue with him, we might check and we tell him that he's not welcome with us, and we just might check until the situation solves itself.
Using the language of the previously posited civil amendment.
Sure.
Okay. Okay.
Well, I'm just trying to stay within camera shots and everything.
Okay. Now it's time to move to a vote. Okay. We're gonna need to take head count again.
Right.
We have block. Continue block. Teddy, block.
I want you all to think long and hard before we do this thing.
Okay. Teddy, is your block resolved now? I'm going to have to consider the block resolved, considering that there was no content in the block besides a request for us to think long and hard on this. Are you a question?
Could we have a decent moment of silence, pause, and reflection before we move to a vote? That would honor Teddy's thing, and I feel a need for this group. Could we do that?
As the moderator, I say yes. I feel it is needed before the vote. In fact, we had spoken beforehand as the facilitation team on having a moment of silence before the vote actually took place. I'm going to put forward.
We had a Mayday through the 10 check requesting, just to clarify.
Okay. So, a 1 minute moment of silence. Starting now. Okay. Coming back. No? Will, I'm sorry, but one last time.
I'd probably say this verbatim by now.
Any amendments?
Also, before this goes ahead, there are 27 here. That means that 3 are needed to block it, or not to block it, so to downvote it, so that does not pass.
All right. less than 10%.
Yeah, it's two.
It's over 25, I think.
Don't you round it?
To 30% of three people needed
You need 90 for consensus, not 10 for opposition, which means you need 90% in favor, which means that you need
No.
26
We've never been.
in favor.
Never been away.
That's not what consensus means.
Consensus doesn't mean 90%.
It means,
It means-
Of those who
it
vote.
means 90% of those voting favorably.
Right, which would be 26 voting favor.
Which is 100%, but you're getting 90% for consensus, which 100%.
This has been an issue since the very start. In fact, I believe Harry said something about this earlier. But
Now we're,
all of our previous votes
No,
have
wait.
gone this way, that it goes by each power of
I mean,
ten.
I'm sorry, I see you
Then
27.
it'd be three. Like, as we have done it, I understand, but it would be three.
Yes, I'm sorry.
That's not how we've done it. That's not how we've done it. That's how we've done it. Yeah. We've always done it that way.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
That's how I understand it too.
Yeah. That's how we've always done it.
It's a rule of thumb that we apply.
Like, okay. I can use mathematical function, that's how we've always done it.
I'm voting no just because of the process.
Oh, come on, that's just not fair.
Either y'all fix the voting process or I'm voting
We
no.
can't, we cannot fix the voting. That's impossible.
3 people voting
That's impossible.
Guys, gals, dolls.
We need, as we have traditionally done this, it would be 10% voting down. That is 3. This can become a problem for another GA, but we will not do it tonight. It will not happen. I hope everyone realizes that. It is 3 tonight.
And we're at 31 now, so
Okay.
just throwing that out there.
Okay, Will, would you please?
We stand before you today in a collective block, asking for the immediate expulsion of Chris Dorsey from all Occupy Richmond General Assembly meetings, events held on private property, and future occupations, with the exceptions that we have a group discussion on ways of enforcement before Thursday. Until then, we use mic check to enforce this.
Keep going? No, keep.
That was it.
With the amendments. Was that with the amendments?
You want to?
Oh. All right, that was a little. Okay. Now to the vote. All those in favor? Please keep them up. Stand sides. And those voting in opposition.
1, 2.
This passes.
There is a hand, there is a third hand.
Do that one again.
What's, is that 3?
We need to take another
We need to take it.
Okay. Okay. Sorry. Please come to order. We're almost done. Okay. One more vote. Everyone for. Sorry, this is almost done.
Are you counting the double hands?
Yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18.
Okay. Thank you. All stand to sides. Okay. And all of those in opposition, please raise them high.
Please. Fuck all of them. Thanks, people. Thank you. Thank you.
Now this is threatening and aggressive.
I am. See?
See?
How many were against?
Three were against. Guys, it's okay. It's not like,
Okay, as per earlier, I am
Who the hell are you?
Please.
no.
Serious?
Hey,
Your proposal's
please
left.
come to order. Please.
That's the type of shit.
Points process.
Right there.
Please.
I'm glad I voted against this.
All right.
Order.
You can go ahead.
Thank you. Thank you for your support.
Okay. This has been a very difficult thing for everyone involved. I just want to point out, I do still have a motion, as per earlier, that the film is edited because of the tint check, or my own personal understanding that there was a lot of tension on that issue earlier. Does everyone understand the point? Or is there anyone who needs it said again?
No.
Okay. I'm going to, I guess, make a move for a vote on that. Is anyone? Okay. Is anyone against that? Okay. Everyone in favor of editing the video? All stand aside. 1, 2, what?
I haven't addressed the proposal.
There's another? I'm just trying to finish this. Okay. There are 2 stand asides. Anyone? All against? Anyone else against? Okay, that passes.
2 were against.
Oh, 2?
How many do we have in the room at the moment? It's probably.
Okay.
No, I'm out of here.
You are against?
Yes, I'm sorry, I missed a little, I'm sorry, I was.
Okay, so there are 2 against it. Alan, just make sure you're not taking part. Okay. There's 2 against.
Please, I'm sorry to interrupt. I need to step in and ask that facilitation speak with each other for a second. I'm really sorry.
Okay.
I just need a minute of your patience. I know it's been a long night. I know.
I was just trying to move.
I know.
Yeah.
I don't know, but it was determined. I was going on 3. I was going on 24. He was going on 28, and we were 31.
I'm sorry.
31.
Oh my goodness.
That's a ratio of 30.
We had 31 as a head count.
Yeah.
If 3 people voted against it,
Yeah.
not fair.
So one person did not vote for it. Or did not put in. I have no idea.
Was it just him that like?
Yeah.
Before he even declared anything?
No, I'm sorry, I'm coming out. I can talk to you.
Also, just like keeping in mind.
That's different, right? You see the distinction between 9% in favor and 10% in opposition.
You 10% in opposition.
Please let me take care of this. I have had this call. No, please let me talk. Please let me talk. No, please. I have had this call. I have brought it up.
That proposal passed.
Everyone, it was just said that it was just 10% against. That was,
We had
how many people not enough?
We had 339%.
We have to vote again, there's no way to go.
We can't.
They left.
Order!
Okay, I just want to say that earlier thing apparently just passed, unless anyone has serious issues. I'm talking about my specific motion afterwards for editing the video. That passed. Does anyone have opposition to the way it was conducted? If there's opposition, I'll get to that then after we reconcile the other issue. I was just trying to get through that really quick. Okay. Okay, well, if someone say something.
I called that. Or please, I'd really like everyone to tune into what I have to say right now. Everyone.
Please. I'm saying seriously.
I call that break because, in my eyes, what I saw, and I would have liked to call a break before people jumped up out of their seats, not respecting the process, I'd like to remind everyone, and left, and before decisions were made, or things were announced of what passes and what doesn't. We had a quorum of 31 people. Greg thought we were at 28. 3 people voted against it, and I'm not saying it's right, but the way we've been making decisions here is if there's 10% of people who are in opposition to an idea or a proposal, then that proposal does not pass. We had 3 people out of 31 say no. That's less than 10%, even if it's by a hair. And I'm sorry, but I had to bring that to the attention of the facilitation team. Obviously, we're at a point now where taking a revote seems pretty idiotic. Is there any objection to that statement? So, I don't know how to proceed with this, but respecting the process is very important, and that's why I had to interrupt and call the facilitation team to gather and talk about this. I understand there's ideas of how we could redefine our voting process to make it more fair, or, pass things by 90% positive, and, that's not how we've been making decisions. I'm not saying it's right or wrong. It's not my job right now. So, if we want to look at the facts and motion to vote whether or not those are the facts, we can do that. And I'm talking about if we want to, as a body.
I'm sorry, I don't know if the problem problem. I mean, I know I have issues about the voting method. That's not the problem, though. The problem is that the facilitation team thought there were 28 people and told them it was going to be 3 using y'all's own math. But he thought it was 28, and that's why we thought it was 3 people, not because we were using the wrong math model, but because someone on the facilitation team didn't have the right count.
I was very confused, and I don't mean to say anything against you, but you were like confusing me.
Well, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to confuse you. I'm just saying, to me, that's the problem. It's not that we're using the wrong type of math, but that we didn't know how many people were voting.
I think the problem is we had 28 until people came back up.
There were 3 others who came up at the very
last
beginning. Yes.
They don't control who's in the room.
Yeah, I mean, they came up
This
at
is
the
why
last
we
minute.
don't like people in and out of the room. One of the reasons is 3 clarifying questions.
I saw you first, please, and then
Jonathan and John.
Okay, well, if we're,
and then
technically, we're not working on, we've been saying from the very beginning, we work on a 90% consensus model. We never have once said we work on a 10% dissent model. Not once, ever, have I ever even heard that. So technically, we reached 90% consensus this evening on this proposal, even if it was 30 or 31, correct? So we did reach
The 90% consensus of 31 people would be 27.9, which would be 28 people in favor to reach 90% consensus.
And what did we
So
have?
that means 3 in opposition would be 10%. And 90%, I mean, that's math. 90% of 31 is 27.9.
There's
No, plus the 9.
Plus the abstentions.
Do we want to talk about this right now? I mean,
That's
I'm not trying to
Yeah,
make
we
it
have to figure out whether it's passed or not.
Okay. Then I have one information.
Okay.
I'd like to have the person from facilitation respond.
Okay, the way I see it right now is I actually brought this up once, and then it was decided in GA, despite the actual wording, because I brought this up in GA at Kanawha, it was decided despite the wording that it was 10% against brought it down. If we are going to hold to what GA said, no matter how confused they may be on the English language or what it is in up to other people, then it would be 10% against votes down. That's if we're going on how we have done it. That's the only way I see of reconciling this to go on our actual history. And there were other hands. I want to address those. I'm going to go around the room.
Could you get Jen
No,
first?
I'm happy to step aside if you guys can actually resolve this.
Yes. Okay. Okay. I'm just gonna take a stack. Are you good? Okay. You are a new face, and then I'm gonna get Jeremy, but I'm gonna try progressive.
Yes, it seems like in mathematics, it's very safe to round off, and I don't think we have much of a contest when you round the numbers. We're very within a tenth of a point of having exactly the number you want. I think what we're doing is we're afraid of our decision and the consequences of it. We can't challenge that. We can't challenge that. That's what I see. Because we made a decision. A lot of people were upset. Some people were upset. It's going to change a lot of the game. But we have to be willing to say what we're saying. I would have voted for a different version of that amendment, but I couldn't vote for that one. And they couldn't take changes, so we were locked in. I'm sorry. I would like to have seen it better. I'm sorry. Am I speaking too long?
No. I just wanted, if there was going to be a response to that, I wanted to respond to it.
That's all.
Okay. I'd like to resolve the current stack, but then after that, Jeremy.
His name is Dennis.
Really?
Come on now. Come on.
I would like to say that as the sole remaining blocker still in the room, if it does get decided that this did not pass, there's no way that everyone in their mood is going to know about it tonight and be able to think cognizantly. However, I can get in touch with them if someone would like to call me and let them know on tomorrow that it did not pass, if that is what in fact like it's decided. Basically, if it passed, we got rid of Dorsey, blah, 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 please call me and I'll let everyone know.
Yeah.
It did not. It's just math. There's no way around it. Sorry.
So it is just math, and that's the interesting thing about this, because we're in a little bit of a paradox, right? If we're going to say that we operate on 90% consensus, and we had 30 people voting, which is the number I heard from facilitation when you guys were having that discussion, is that correct? I heard that there were 31 in the room, but that there were 30 votes counted. Is that correct, Scribe?
Oh, wow,
Yes.
1893.
Okay, so
1893,
here's
that's
the
30.
issue here, right? We had both 10% dissenting and 90% consensus. So this is where we need to decide, are we going to operate on 90% consenting, or are we going to, is my math wrong? I'm seeing heads shaking.
Point of
Okay, point of process, and then.
All right, so what I was going to say is, quite frankly, we work on a 90% consensus, from what I understand, and I've bugged the hell out of people about this. So if that be the case, 10% is not enough. And so that would be the process that I'm pointing out.
Now we've got our point of process.
That was insert my opinion to the triangle. This is like the opinion insertion beam. Insertion beam. Anyway, so, I mean, in my mind, we reached 90% consensus if the number was 30, but we also had 10% dissent.
So, may I speak?
27 people.
Please do. So the issue here is, what about that one person that didn't vote at all? How do we treat that one person that did not get counted but was in the room as per our official head count? Now, I believe that traditionally we have treated people who did not vote as standing aside. I think that that represents a very reasonable interpretation.
Does anybody object to that interpretation?
What? I didn't hear.
It makes sense.
If you didn't
That's-
vote, then your
that-
vote counts as an abstain vote, or a stand aside vote.
That's
It seems like
That makes so much sense.
Hey,
It sounds good.
please, everyone, I know we're smaller numbers now, but let's,
Okay.
sorry.
And also, obviously, we're not going by the regular process right now. I'm going to still try to hold up to whatever process we can, but we're not in this. So, please go.
This, I don't have a problem with what you just said, except that a stand aside for me is actually kind of an extreme vote. It means I will allow consensus to go through, but I have a problem with this, and that's what consensus means. And I'm not sure if sometimes when people aren't voting at all, that they're not just not paying attention. So that's the only, I have no problem with it being considered that, but I do think there's a difference between not paying attention and not putting your hand up and an actual, thought out stand aside vote. So that's the only issue I'm having.
Okay. I'm sorry. I actually just realized that I did not get back to this gentleman here.
That's fine.
I would like to do that before we head on. Please, sir.
That's okay. It's less interesting as a point of exhaustion or a point of frustration.
Thank you, sir. Harry, I did see a question before I close.
All right, so my question is that people that were not...
You don't want to be on camera?
Yeah, basically. I would prefer not being on cameras.
All right.
Anyway, so my point is, or question was going to be, were the people downstairs counted for this consensus as stand aside, or were they not counted? Because I really wanted not to be counted, period.
No one if you weren't in this room, you weren't counted.
Thank you.
Okay, so, and then you.
I still think that there's a bigger problem, which is that when we took the vote, to begin the vote, the facilitation team says 3 votes will stop this from passing, and then we voted on that. I mean, even if that was wrong, that was what was said. To me, we can't, it's difficult to go backwards and go, oh no, I'm sorry, we said the wrong thing to begin with. Everyone was so sure that it failed because we had 3 votes that they stormed out and cussed everyone out and left. I mean, so to me it's a bigger problem than how many people we had and what the vote should have been. The problem is the facilitation team said X, and that wasn't true, and now we have this clusterfuck, excuse my language, that we're experiencing right now. So I mean, to me the problem is more than just the actual vote and what should have happened. The problem is that we went through a process and that process ended up being wrong, but we still went through that process. So we should be talking about how to resolve that dilemma, and not just whether it's 9 or 10 or 9 or 10.
Does anyone have any movement on that specific problem? Yes, sir.
And it maybe does in the bullet, but maybe we should just decide that 10 o'clock on a contentious issue with half the people gone and a sort of flawed process is enough for one night. And we should let this go for another day. We can have clearer heads and maybe things will all sort out. Can I make a motion to that effect? Or would that
I hear a
be-
motion to adjourn.
Is that a motion to adjourn?
No, motion to table this.
To table this?
To table this discussion. Call a misvote and table the discussion.
Okay, call a misvote is the important part there.
Okay, call a misvote.
No, can we stick to one thing at a time? Yeah. I think it's great.
Call a vote on a motion
My thing is sitting here.
to.
And we've been sticking through it
Okay.
this long anyway.
I'm gonna check a motion to, and then call.
Sorry, I keep getting in the way.
This is my first day off.
Honestly, regrets I remember opening up this can of worms, but I wanted to acknowledge what happened before someone put into it so that it didn't come up later, because I
Does that sound? Okay. Everyone, please come back. Okay, I have only one thing I can think of right now, which is first, I'm going to motion on voting on a misvote, which is not the vote itself, just because it is a different process than we have used. And then the vote itself. This is the only way I know. Okay, I'm just going to call this. So, whatever it's called, 10 check on this motion for a misvote, or a voting on this vote. Just the 10 check. All four.
Declaring misvote?
Yeah, this is to have that process. I'm trying not to add a new process without vetting it through GA. This is what I'm trying to do right here. So please bear with me. Who is okay with this process? And please vote up. There are 3. Stand asides. All against. That doesn't pass, so we're not doing that.
Period.
Yep.
Let's go home.
So, okay, well then, is that a...
Motion to adjourn.
Excuse me.
Wait. Oh, yeah.
Wait.
And I'll be happy either to wait till next meeting, but honestly, what I have to say won't take 5 minutes. And if you would humor me,
10 minutes.
well, I don't think it'll run 10 minutes. I'm not going to even talk about the process of the consensus. I mean, somehow it was adopted from the foreign countries and whatever, and it seems to be working. You're getting a lot of people active. I mean, I'm very impressed with what you're doing with respect to the demonstrations and all of that. But I look at this whole issue, if I try and stand outside, okay, and I want to give a little 5,000-foot view real quick and see if it doesn't make sense. In this organization, what I see of the work groups, okay, who are the tips of the spear? Who are your tips of the spear? The tips of the spear are the people who are carrying your message out, okay? Those are the Action Work Group, who's active right now doing the demonstrations. Oh. Somebody's?
Yeah, she's trying.
Please go on.
Okay. The action work group and the, goodness gracious, the outreach education group, okay, and to a smaller extent, the city council liaison. Well, that's outreach, but that's why I'll put it sub-sphere, way down, maybe down the handle a little bit. Everybody buying into that is where the tip of the spear is, where the message, where the delivery is coming at. Okay, silence means consensus. Let me continue. All right.
Question,
If
you'd like to hear it. Could you specify your meaning of tip of the spear, please, for yourself, so I can better
Okay, I'm sorry. I was presuming or assuming. All right.
Right.
In other words, the thing that hits the enemy, where the word actually comes from, the party who delivers the word and makes, like salesmen within organizations, corporate organizations, are the tip of the spear. The tip of the spear in the Army are the guys who are, with the weapons in hand. In this organization, I'm calling the tip of the spear those organizations or subgroups or groups that are out delivering the message or organizing and delivering the message. And the message is going out, at least you're claiming the message is happening in your demonstrations. I buy that. And I buy that your outreach group, that is what is intended. Now let me just step on, all right? But I got to have you believing, does it make sense? I mean, anybody believe it's the tip of the spear or buy into it, maybe a poor choice of words on it? Is that the group meeting with the message?
I think you have to include us in that camera.
That's a given, the whole organization, but I'm saying...
We'll come here and we'll publicly, we're on display. This evening is on display.
Okay, all right, I'll buy that, but humor me then. Let me talk about the two organizations mainly. And it'll fit, I can incorporate or encompass this. Okay, what's happening in this country,
Sir.
maybe I'll come back.
Sir, can I just ask you a question? Because, and this is in no disrespect to you, we had like one of the hardest GAs tonight. I know that didn't seem extremely contentious to you, but it was something that we really prepared for. So if you could just get to like.
I'll get to my point.
Like
okay?
the question that you wanted an answer from us from, because I'm not really sure where we're going with it, and I just want to smoke a cigarette so bad. So can you please?
All right, look, I was offered 5. Somebody said 10 minutes. I don't understand which question.
The question that you originally wanted to ask the group, I'm trying.
I've changed direction with
He just wants to
regards
speak
to that.
right now.
Okay, so you. Okay.
That's all I'm trying to do.
Gotcha. So you will not. I truly want you to come back and want you to be part of this. So I don't want you to be offended if I go smoke a cigarette.
And I don't want you to think that I wouldn't come back.
Okay,
But
that's my only point. Is I just want to make sure that you know I was trying to listen to you. And I'm just my head is not in the best place right now. That's all. It's truly not an offense to you, because I think you probably have a lot of
why don't I come back another day and maybe...
I'm here to listen to you. If you would like to continue
There's probably
speaking, I
several
will hear
people. I'm
you.
just letting you know from me.
Well, I think everybody's weary, and I don't want to be... the worst thing to be is the last speaker on the dais.
Thank you so much for being here.
We love you for that.
Thank you.
I think you got great potential, but I think you got some real exposures that with the energy that you have, everything you're doing needs to be done, but there are some other things.
Mm-hmm.
And I can see in your outreach, the people that are planned to be called on, the arguments where this election can be won, these are issues of we are losing on the social conscience or the social conservative issue. We're losing in the fiscal conservative issues. They have got to be addressed. The question is, who do you address them to? Congress
and legislators don't listen anymore.
Right.
But they can be influenced by the money. And where their money comes from and their support comes from, the vulnerabilities that exist, they're very vulnerable in the money issues, but let's take one and I'll leave it from here. Their base is white, high school educated, working class people, and the evangelical Christians. The evangelical Christians, and I'll end it with this, are not practicing the teachings of Christ. And I don't mean to offend anybody, I'm talking Christ, and I'm not talking Jews, and I'm not talking Muslims or anything like that. I believe in all of them. But to win, you've got to look for the vulnerabilities. And all that the evangelical Christians are preaching, they are all individualized, except they do outreach to evangelize, to proselytize and bring new recruits in. They are not doing the things of helping the poor. They are not doing the teachings of Christ. And what I would be doing with the outreach committee would be calling on pastors, okay, at churches,
You're on the committee.
and organizing, okay, well, believe me, I've gone way beyond this. 10 tips in 10 minutes, 5 tips in 5 minutes, and a speakers group organized that goes out, makes appointments, makes calls, and you know what happens? You challenge the conscience in those churches, and the pastor from the pulpit, and the blue collar worker who's out there listening to the pastor is going to be, he will be moved to be talking. You make them sell. The other thing is, right now, Congress, the Senate, and the House, they don't have no fear of this organization. None. None. I don't want to say none, but they know how to control it. They control it just like they controlled us in Vietnam. The war took 8 years to end for the demonstrations. You all don't want to be here 8 years. This war's got to be won this next presidential campaign. And there's a way to do it. They're vulnerable, but I don't see you targeting the people who will change the minds to get them to change the votes.
Thank you for your comments.
That is so truncated.
Before we adjourn, again, thanks for everyone who waits till the moment where GA adjourns to leave GA. Sir, I'm sorry,
May I make one more comment? I'd like to make one more comment.
May I ask you a question because I'm stepping
Sure.
down from facilitation team after I do? Did you vote on the last vote?
No.
You just didn't vote at all?
No.
Okay.
You
May I ask you
trying to get
again?
a right count?
How would you have voted?
And
Just-
that's
you
another
abstaining?
impressive item. You are really trying to abide by a structure. You have a structure. I mean, that's impressive. What I fear for you and what I think you have to do is sometimes the process, and it happens in all organizations, becomes the objective as opposed to the other way around. And I think you gotta be very careful of that. I think you have to be lighter on yourselves as to the purity with which you're using, these guidelines.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
So you're saying that you didn't vote because you wouldn't have voted on this?
I didn't know what the issue was.
Okay, so you wouldn't have voted on this?
No, I
I'm
couldn't.
asking for numbers reasons, not
Oh,
because,
okay.
not because I think
couldn't
that
tell.
you.
I assumed it was still something on Charlie or Chris?
Right, I'm asking, the only reason I'm asking that is because if you didn't vote at all, it's different from a stand aside from what we were counting it as.
Yeah, well, you should change
For
I didn't
you.
vote because I didn't feel, quite honestly, all due respect.
It's 30.
I don't know the fellow, and I'm,
30.
first time here.
Which means the motion passes.
Which means it passed.
So because that,
Which is very respectful, and thank you for being here, and thank you for your words.
Okay.
I have your information, I'll contact you.
well,
Hope to
that's
see
the
you
other
very
thing.
soon.
I'm looking for the meat. I'd love to, by design, it's a leaderless organization. It's supposed to be egalitarian, I understand that. But I sure would love to find somebody I can sit down to.
I will call you. Absolutely.
We're just in limbo.
All right, I wish you all the best, and I'd like to be helping you with it.
All right, thank you, Jen.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, I'm just going to point out that this will probably flow into the next GA. So,
call me sir, it's John.
Thank you.
All right.
yeah, I'm just going to point out this will probably flow into the next GA somehow, some way, whatever.
Well, can I just point out something from what I
Yeah.
just did? That means that motion passed. That man just said that he didn't vote because he didn't understand it. We counted him as a head. That's not the same as a stand aside. That's why I was asking him that. That means that our quorum was 30 and we reached 27. So this is a very different, this is why I made sure to get this on camera, because this is a very different situation when we were dealing with 31.
And thank you, Claire.
No, that's what I'm saying. That's going to go into the next GA.
I mean, yeah, but at the same time, you know, if you watch it, guys, please don't leave and cuss us all out when we're trying to help you out. Thanks.
Yeah.
All right, I got
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
I love you all.
How do I record that
vote? Contentious.
I feel like I speak because I'm no longer
I'm not going to make a thing of it because I'm just trying to have GA. Yeah.
I'm
sorry.
What's really important for me to say tonight, as someone outside of Occupy, that unless you admonish those who understandably went outside a process and disrespected all of the people in with their anger, and I'm speaking specifically of William, and on some level, I wish he was still here, Danielle, I felt there were a number of people tonight who need to be admonished for their behavior, and unless and until you begin this process, it's at the heart and soul of whether you're going to become something that really makes a difference or not. If you cannot admonish those who will not respect and participate within your established, agreed-upon processes, you're doomed. You're doomed.
I don't know. Like, I think it'll have to come to the next GA.
You should just make a note. Are we adjourned?
Yes.
Okay.
You can't. I don't know how to record it. Why must it?
That's a good issue before.
Thank you guys on facilitation. You're awesome.
Yes, thank you facilitators. You did a wonderful job.